How to spot a scam. Welcome back to today's Misguided Mentors. If you were with me just a few minutes ago, you may have noticed that my audio wasn't working. Thankfully, someone hopped on and let me know really quick, so I was able to navigate that, fix that very quickly. So I appreciate that. I was just telling some of the friends on Instagram that I operate different platforms. You know, StreamYard. Excuse me. Gosh, what's the other one? Oh, Prism. And then there's a few other ones too that I use, Zoom. And every time I navigate between the platforms, it makes all my settings wonky. So anyways, hopefully we're good to go. Let me know if you guys do not hear me. We should be good to go. I'm picking up the audio on here. Everything's streaming. Everything's recording. And so thanks again for that. And yeah, let's get fired off into this. What I was saying was this topic has been on my mind for the last couple of days. One, because there was it just reminded me of what this page is all about. Some people think that today's Misguided Mentors is kind of like Ballers Busters page or other people's pages that I see where they primarily just call people out. Their thumbnails are always about, is this person a scammer? Is this that? And sometimes my posts are like that too. Sometimes my content is like that, but I don't want it to just be that. That's not what I did this page for. I'm not here to make people look bad. I'm not here to just, get attention that way. And I'm not looking to get attention that way anyways. What I'm trying to do is educate people, and I'm trying to help people. And I'm trying to give people ways to navigate the self-development industry, ways to pay attention to predatory tactics, the deceptive atmosphere within networking, public speaking. I'm not saying all of it, but in my opinion, about 90 or 95% of it is that, unfortunately. And so that leaves if that is true, that leaves a very small percentage of ethical people out here, good-hearted people that actually care about helping others. And so that's a huge percentage that people need to be aware of, and how to navigate that and how to identify certain things. So it was just a good reminder when I had this experience. But if you guys aren't familiar with Baller Busters page, they highlight people who are potentially scamming and just deceiving people in the coaching and the mentorship space. And they did a pretty cool little post not too long ago where this young man was asking a question, just a legitimate question, and I can't remember it verbatim, so which is why I'll just show and share my screen exactly what the young man was asking for. And it was pretty much along the lines of just advice, like how can I fill in the blank, and gave me an opportunity to respond. And it seemed like it did impact him because he did ask for me to elaborate a little bit more, and I'll show you guys that correspondence. But it seems like something I said actually helped him in some way. So it made me want to just do a live on this and a recording on this and just talk about all the stuff, like how are mentor or deceptive mentors and coaches able to scam you, and what was the other things? Oh, red flags, how to verify a good coach from a bad coach, and then what to do if you've actually been scammed. So I want to talk about those 4 points, just to kind of hit it hard with some tangible strategies and some stuff that may help some young entrepreneurs, just like this young man was asking this question. So let me share my screen, and then we'll get right into it, into what I want to share with you guys. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. All right, so there we go. Okay, let's remove this and remove that. There we go. So let's watch this. I ended up doing a post out of it, actually. And so what I did was I screenshotted the kid's question and then my answer. So let's look at it really quick here. Oh, why isn't it showing this? Okay, I don't know why it disappeared. But I do want to make sure I highlight it. So let's do this. I've never actually looked up Baller Buster's Instagram on here. So let's see if I can find it. If you're on Instagram and you're not seeing what I'm doing, go to YouTube and subscribe to Today's Misguided Mentors. That way you can see my screen share and I can respond to you and your comments and engage with you. All right, so where's it at? Okay, so this young man asked right here, hey guys, all I wanted to say is I love what you all do. I have one thing I wanted to ask. As a 20-year-old who also has never really been out in the real world, how do I know what to trust? I want to be successful and have good role models around me and stay away from all the people you guys expose, but how can I make sure I don't get brainwashed by someone who I thought had the best intentions, but really was a money-hungry business person? Thank you. So a very honest question and a great question coming from a young entrepreneur. So really appreciate that. Let's go back to my page. I'll read my response to him. And actually, let me try something different here. I think, am I able to, can I look at the comments on here? I guess I can. Oh yeah, so got my comment right here, and then we can look at his replies. Cool. So I said, hey, I'm really happy to see a young, ambitious person genuinely asking for guidance on this matter. This is exactly why I created Today's Misguided Mentors. First thing is that understand that everything you need is inside of you already. Once you know that, it makes it easier for you to navigate the self-development matrix. A good mentor will encourage you to think for yourself and discern for yourself. A misguided mentor will encourage you to seek them for the answers to success and to adopt their thought process. Pay close attention and make it easy for yourself to read people's energy. They're either givers or takers. Just because they have been successful at getting money doesn't mean they are automatically a good person. Don't glorify money, ego, sex, or self-pride. Don't get involved with coaches who only care about those things, because self-serving leaders will only be attracting to you if that is what you focus on. So be sure to stay true to your ethics and morals by caring for people. Focus on your intuition and conscience to do what is right. Sometimes it's hard to notice, but if you are aware of the deception, manipulation, interrogation, shaming, and harassing when you look for guidance in the self-help space, you will immediately see right through them and remain grounded. Gravitate towards great people who have good hearts and actually care. I hope this helps. So I said that to him. I think he replied to me. He said, God, what did he say? View replies. Oh, did I get more replies from people? How could I, he said, okay. So he said, how could I know if I'm in a self-development cult? Thank you again. And then I said, great question. Well, the pressuring, the shaming, and harassing to you to make decisions, especially buying decisions, encouraging you to adopt the way they think, always referring to others as average while they create the narrative that you are going to be part of an elite group with them, and suggesting that there's always another level with them to reach your potential. So I realized there's so many answers to this question. So I was like, you know what, I'll just do a video on that, and then I'll just tell them, hey man, you should check this video out. So that is why I decided to, let's capture this. Okay. That is why I decided to just, instead just make a quick video on this, so that any other young entrepreneur has a really good question like that and genuinely just wants to get some hard-hitting advice or strategies and what to be aware of and all that stuff. I was like, man, just check this out. And something I say on here might actually resonate with you. Yeah, what's up, Kat? And welcome back, Lorraine. And yeah, it is awesome to see the young entrepreneur has joined my following. You know, there's a lot of, I just had a guy reach out to me actually in the DMs. I think he's working for as a sales rep for a company, and he's struggling with something. And so I told him to reach out to me. He finally did. This was a few weeks ago, and he finally just reached out to me right before I jumped on here. So basically, I'm interested to have a conversation with him and see how I can help him. So. And no, not for money. I'm just going to help him out if he's struggling with something. Yeah, it sounds good, Andy. Thanks, brother. Check you out later, man. And anybody else jumping on, come into the YouTube channel and subscribe, please. That way I can engage with you and you guys won't miss anything, especially the screen sharing. All right, so let's just get right into this, the meat and potatoes of this. All right, I want to talk about how these coaches and mentors are able to do this to people and brainwash them and coerce? Maybe it's coerce people into making these decisions. I'm gonna talk about red flags, how to verify if you have a good mentor or a bad mentor, and what to do if you've been scammed or think that you may have been scammed or deceived. And we're just going to make it real simple. I've talked about things along these lines before. Some things you're going to hear I've probably said before, but that's okay. Like, I'm going to beat this topic to death until, because one or two videos ain't going to do it. This is something I got to embody and frequently talk about so that it's got a better chance of landing on someone's ears at the exact right time they need to hear it, which that's been happening actually. And so that tells me what I need to do. And so we're going to get into it. I jotted down some quick little notes here. I got to take a drink though. I got some dry throat. I've been podcasting quite a bit, even though this isn't a traditional podcast. Excuse me. There's a partnership I got where I podcast quite a bit all day. And I think I did 6 yesterday, 6 the day before. They're short. They're like, 20-minute podcasts, but still a lot. It's just back to back, and it's a lot of talking and preparation. So now my throat is starting to go out on me sometimes. So bear with me. All right, so how are these guys able to get into people's heads? Why? I mean, because this happens to the best of people, unfortunately. I've realized after my experience with me, and then also through that experience, seeing very intelligent people, very highly successful people also drinking the same Kool-Aid, I realized when I left, I was like, wow, they actually were brainwashed too. I was like, they were like, they're not above it, And so I realized looking back on that, I was like, wow, it can really happen to the best of people. And then myself, when I think about it, I consider myself to be very sharp, very intelligent. Maybe I didn't read energy the best before, but I certainly do now. But I don't know. I got, as the saying goes, right? As the kids put it these days, I got. So it can happen to the best of people. And I want to talk about how, just a couple reasons why and how this happens. So they get into your head. Let's put it that way. First, they get into your head. This is very cult related. This is how cults work. Self-development cults are a very real thing. And so a lot of people, I think what's going on is some people, the majority of people find it hard to believe and wrap their head around the fact that a self-development group, like let's say the 10X organization or the Elliott group or, whatever, Tony Robbins, his employee staff and his organizations, people find it hard to believe that those are actually cults. When people think of cults, they think Scientology, they think Nexium, they think, what was that documentary? The Rajneesh, right? I can't remember the name of that cult, but they think about cults, like traditional cults where people, end up doing like a mass suicide ritual or something like that. Yeah, those are cults, but that doesn't mean that's the only type of cults. And so I've noticed that a lot of cults are also self-development cults. Matter of fact, a lot of cults usually implement the self-development and the self-help aspect into the cult itself and the teachings, which makes it very easy for self-help gurus and coaches and mentors and coaching business, how to scale your business, how to make more money, all that. It makes it very easy for them to implement self-help help strategies, the same exact self-help strategies that are applied in cults. And what is crazy is this is very relative on how they're able to get you. The reason they're able to do that is because some of it is actually good information, and they're using good for bad. They're using the good information to get in your head and reel you in and hook you. Once you get closer, is when you start seeing the true colors and you see the agenda, the real agenda. All right. And it's not what you thought it was before, now that you're actually in it. And so they like to lead, I noticed, at least the deceptive cults like to lead with good information, right? When I think about this myself, actually, and how I got into the self-development cult, ironically, I have this book right here sitting here. This is the book that got me into Grant Cardone's proximity and got me to ultimately become a 10X business coach for his organization and spend, almost $250,000 on all these courses and traveling to get there and all this stuff. It happened from a book. This was the first thing that I ever read. How crazy is that a book, it started with a book, and Grant got into my head through a book. It's quite fascinating, actually, how that happened. I can literally map out the entire trajectory of that. And that's scary when you think about it, not even just for myself, but how that happens to other people. And a lot of the things, I realize, again, answering the question of like, how are they able to do that? Well, one of the ways he was able to do it for me was because he had fake vulnerability. And so I want to bring that point up. Fake vulnerability is a very real thing. What do I mean by that? That means people these gurus like to tell these very vulnerable stories to get you to drop your guard. And you realize they're only doing that just to serve their agenda. Like they need you to drop your guard. And a way for them to achieve that is for them to hit you with some touchy-feely type stories, maybe, to make you feel like you connect with them. It's so funny. I was just talking to Lorraine actually in the messages about this, talking about storytelling and connecting with people. Again, another example of how something that could be used for good and should be is used for bad. And I noticed people do this. I noticed these today's misguided mentors do this. They basically use the fake vulnerability and tell you a real heartfelt story to get you to drop your guard and get you to relate to them. And that makes it super easy for them to try to pitch you and pressure you and coerce you into doing something you don't want to do. And Grant's story was his dad died when he was 10. Now, although my dad didn't die when I was 10, he split when I was 3. So I never knew my dad really. And so he was almost like he did die. But that connected with me. Grant was on drugs. I had drug problems at a time in my life as well. A lot of the struggles Grant talked about, I related to. And that got me to want to get closer to him, learn more about him. And ultimately what happened was I started idolizing the guy, which is very, very unhealthy. Very, very, you should never idolize somebody. You should never glorify somebody, put them on a pedestal. And that's what I did, And so, he was a perceived successful guy. And I always say this, matter of fact, I said it in the post that I said to the guy, to that young man, just because someone has made a lot of money and they've been successful doesn't mean they've done it in a good way. Doesn't mean they've acquired it ethically, And so I think that's important to note. But yeah, the fake vulnerability, books, careful what you're reading. And when you're reading, make sure books are, it's crazy because again, to the point of how are they able to do that? A book goes right to your brain. This is a one-way highway straight into your mentality. And so if you're seeking something outside of yourself, you want answers, you want success, you want this, and you start reading a book, got to be careful what you're reading and what you're retaining. And like Kat was saying, I believe, you got to discern for yourself. You were saying due diligence is key. To Kat's point, due diligence is key when you're reading as well. Like make sure you don't just start planting these seeds in your head without, making sure the seeds are not toxic, if you will, because it'll just grow. And next thing you know, you got a forest, and Next thing you know, you're not thinking for yourself. You literally just adopted someone's mindset, just like I did, and like a lot of other people are doing. A lot of people have a hard time admitting that, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Let me catch up with you guys here, though. Kat, you were saying also a good way to find out people or businesses is to look at the reviews, but filter the lowest first. 100%, and that's a good point. We'll bring that up. I'll make a note when we get to the how to verify section in detail. Usually those are very honest. And you're right. And then you said due diligence is key. Look into who you are following and not just off their social media. Google person's name and add scam. If there's information there, it could be the truth about them. 100%. And that's a very important message too. Actually, I don't have to. It's funny. I think people know this, but I feel like I still have to tell it to people because it's easy to get caught up in that world. But the facade that people create on social media is not always their real life, right? So to Kat's point, like, don't glorify somebody based on their social media. You know, I know people in my life that do that right now, and I have to remind them. I'm like, you got to realize, like, that's not, they're only showing you this. And who knows, that's not really their life. That's just like a moment in time. You know, I don't want you thinking, I don't know. I've just had to remind people about this, you know, and as a father who's taking caution to my daughter eventually getting into social media, you know, I'm taking that into high consideration to make sure she's prepared for that world, and she's not idolizing and glorifying people, you know. And I ask her questions like that. You know, we have assignments that I give her. I'm like, what do you like about this person? Why you like that about that person? What do you see in this person that you know you want for yourself? That type of stuff. And so I really ask her the right kind of questions so that she knows more about herself, you know. And I think that's important, especially when we're talking about kids getting into social media. So yeah, it sounds so obvious, right? But a lot of people, you will be shocked how many people actually look at someone's social media, judge them and qualify them and base their value off of their followers and what they're doing on their posts and what they're posting. And it's not always real, you know, and you can tell when someone's actually posting something or talking about something, whether they're actually genuine. At least if you're right, you're good with yourself, you're good with your intuition, you can see right through that stuff. And so if you're not, then it's going to be really hard to see that. And don't always take it, just take it at face value is what I'm saying. But anyways, what's up, Instagram? Just a reminder, please jump onto the YouTube channel so you can get a better view and correspond with me in there and see my screen share and all that good stuff. It's called Today's Misguided Mentors. Hit the subscribe button. Really appreciate that, especially as I start doing YouTube interviews. It's going to be only on YouTube. You won't be able to see it on Instagram. So just a heads up. All right. So the next thing, no, actually, I wasn't even done with that. That was just the first thing. All right. So they get into your head, right? One of the books I was telling you about was 10X, or that was my experience. One of the ways is through a book, like the 10X book got in my head. Next thing you know, Grant's thoughts got in my head. Again, this sounds like stuff that's not achievable, but I think when you look at the history of cults, right? It's very easy. It actually is really crazy for me to even believe and look back now that like I was in a cult and someone actually got inside of my head. Someone convinced me to think like them, exactly like them. And God, it's just crazy to think about. And now I know it's a very real thing. So a lot of the people, you know, there's a good chance that people are like, oh yeah, no one's going to get inside my head. No one's going to brainwash me. No one's going to manipulate me. Usually the person that says that is the most vulnerable actually, because they think they're above it. And sometimes the person saying that is probably in some type of cult and they don't even know it. And I've made that point several times. Most people don't know what they're in a cult while they're in it. You can't, what's that saying? You can't see the forest for the trees. No, maybe that's a different saying. But I mean, in regards to, you know, forest and tree analogies, if you're in a forest, you can't really see the entire, you know, the big picture because you only see what's in front of you. Same type of analogy is what I'm saying. Most people do not know they're in a cult while they're in it. So, yeah, they get in your head. That's how they're able to do it. So to answer that question, how are coaches and mentors able to scam you? They encourage you to adopt their thought process. All right, that's very important. They get you to distance. That's another one. They get you to, I'll explain that. A lot of cults are really good at, exactly, Lorraine, the wood for the trees. There we go. I knew there was an analogy somewhere in there with trees and forests. We found something. But yeah, they get you to distance from yourself. So what do I mean by that? Like I was telling that young man in that post there, if an organization is encouraging you to distance yourself from average people, low-level people, haters, negative people, and you got to separate yourself from those. You got to distance yourself from those. You got to distance yourself from people who gave up on their dreams, people who are working minimum wage jobs, people who, are just not living their dream, all that stuff. And then they frame it like, that's why we're winners, or they frame it like their community that they're building, the community that they have, and the people in it are all high performance, elite champions. And it's like, it just creates distance. You know what I mean? And when I think about that, about my own experience, I cut off a lot of good people in my life with that narrative. That narrative got planted in my head, and I ended up cutting off family and friends. And I'm talking about like good people, and it's really sad to think that, I started judging people. I started putting myself on a pedestal. I started acting like, I was better than other people. And it's a nasty way of living. You know what I mean? So that's another way they're able to do that. They get you to distance, because when they do that, it's almost, they're creating that narrative that you only feel like, like yourself, this high achiever that you're supposed to be when you're with us. You're only going to achieve those levels when you're with us. You're only going to, because if you associate yourself with those people, you surround yourself with those people, you're going to be like them. You're going to be average. You're going to be poor. You're going to give up on your dreams. You're going to be this. You're going to be that. And so now there's just so much to that narrative. Now they put that fear in you, like you're doomed if you associate with these people. Some of that could be real, you know what I mean? But it's taken out of context big time. And it's taken out of context to the point to where they frame it to where you need to get closer to this group and only hang out with this group. Like otherwise, you're gonna fall back really quick, right? It's quite crazy. The irony in that is crazy now I think about it, because they're encouraging you to not be around people because you're going to end up adopting their thoughts, right? But what ends up happening is you get involved with the organization that's encouraging that, and you end up adopting their thoughts. And if that organization is, first of all, you should never adopt somebody's thoughts. You should think for yourself. And I'll get to that here, and that I'm going to bring that point up when we get to the how to verify section. But you got to think for yourself. You can get advice and guidance from people, but for God's sakes, think for yourself. All right. So anyways, what's up, Christine? How you doing? To a cult thinking it was oh, you know what? I remember God, you and someone else told me the same thing. So, Christine was saying, we sent a family member to a cult thinking it was a rehab. When we found out, we went to get them out. You and someone else told me the same exact story, or maybe I was talking to you about that, recently. Yeah. What's up, Lorelei? But yeah, or Lorelei Bridge. You have to type your name in there so I know, because it's such a long title. But anyways, maybe it was you, Chris. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was a friend of mine named Carmela. Also, same exact thing. Almost. Her son went to a rehab facility and it ended up being a cult, and she had to go rescue her son from this cult. And it's fascinating. And maybe one of these times I'll get her on here to have this conversation actually about that, but very identical to what you're talking about. And she said her son still has been traumatized from that experience. How messed up is that? You know what I mean? So you got to realize people need to learn that cults work best when people are in despair, when people are vulnerable, which is why they either need to be on drugs, they either need to be in a huge sense of fear, or it's just that's the perfect time these cults are able to actually get in your head. So, anyways, I talked about getting you to distance yourself from good people and only consume their content, only consume what they're teaching you. Yeah, exactly, Christine. You're saying that's what happened to you. That's pretty crazy. All right, so that's how they're able to do that. Just touched on a few basic, bullet points for how our mentors able to get in your head. All right, we're gonna go down to the red flags. All right, so this was something I talked about with that young man as well. All right, so here's a red flag for me. If someone is encouraging you to do something because you need it or you should do it, they constantly use the words need or should. You need this. You should do this. You need to, or you're never going to end up. You're never going to live your potential. Oh, another red flag. I've talked about this with Kira several times. Using the word potential is actually a red flag for me. When you start talking to people and saying you got potential, I see your potential, it's very condescending, first of all, and it kind of puts immediately it suggests that person is behind and not at their potential, and that you think you're above them, you're in your potential, or it's just very suggestive to say talk about potential. And so I've talked about that before. Another red flag. So yeah, needing, should do this. I mean, that's real dangerous. That it should be an indication immediately when someone starts saying, yeah, you need this course, you need to come to this event, you need to be here, you need to come to this retreat. Nobody needs to do anything. You know what I mean? Like, that's a very strong word to say that someone needs to do that. So another red flag, pay attention to that. What's the other thing here? All right. So yeah, again, they'll suggest, another red flag is they'll suggest you'll never change or you'll be average. And so that's putting fear in you. Obviously nobody wants to be average. Obviously nobody wants to be, around, people who aren't living their dream. Nobody wants to think about this doom, this impending doom, this average life, this unfulfilled feeling. And so they're suggesting that if you don't do this, you don't come with us, you don't get closer to us, you don't spend money with us, you're going to be average. You're not going to be successful. You're always going to hang out with losers. You're going to be a loser. You're going to think like them. You're going to live like them. And it just puts, the whole narrative is just very, very manipulative. So another red flag, pay attention. All right. I don't know if I said this already, but I'm going to repeat it again. It's always worth saying this several times. When they suggest for you to seek them for success, they suggest you to seek them for the answers. Again, it's the opposite of encouraging somebody to think for themselves. Huge red flag. One of the most basic red flags, one of the most basic ways, which is going to tie right into the how to verify as well. But that's one way you can tell if someone is a misguided mentor. Excuse me. They're either going to suggest you seek them for success, or you think for yourself, and that it's a very, very clear way to find that out really quick. Another red flag, again, a lot of these are tying into each other. So I talked about the fake vulnerability, and I think I hammered that topic pretty well. So yeah, careful with the fake vulnerability. It is a way for them to get you to drop your guard. Once you drop your guard, they can literally prey on that vulnerability. And I want you guys to be careful. If you're a young entrepreneur and you hear me talking about this, pay attention to that, because that's classic cult-like tactics. Classic. And then the high pressure to particularly pay, right? I talked about this before, but trying to convince somebody to do something is a very low energy. It's a low level of operating. Trying to really, really try to get somebody to do something that they're not comfortable with is a red flag. You know, that's very, very pressure based brainwashing. So huge red flag. All right. If no one's giving you, if like, especially in sales and business, if they're trying to sell you something and you're like, nah, I want to think about it, or I'm not sure if I want it. And then they're trying to pressure you and they're trying to say all that other stuff I mentioned, like, oh, well, if you don't do this, you're going to be average. Oh, if you're going to do that, that's just pressure. It's manipulation. It's deception. It's interrogating. It's harassing. And I want people to pay attention to that as a red flag. It's one of the easiest red flags to spot too. It's like, man, why how would you navigate that? That would be something I should probably say. Like if you're a young entrepreneur and someone tries selling you something and you say no, or you got to think about it, and they try pressuring you, what's the best way to handle that? Throw it back at them. Be like, why are you pressuring me? And have them think about it themselves, because either more times than not, they learn that. They don't even know why they're pressuring you. They're pressuring you because that's what they were taught on how to treat people in sales and business. This is why salespeople get like a bad reputation. And it's not sales reps that's bad. It's not sales that's bad. It's what has been taught. It's the deception that's been taught in the organization by 90+% of people out here. And so unfortunately, it seems like, when there's a high percentage like that, everybody automatically assumes, which, they should be worried about that. And they have a right to assume that, because it's a high percentage, that it's all scammy. It's all high pressure. There's a reason why nobody likes high pressure. Nobody likes that. All right. Especially in sales, because it's deceptive. It's basic energy. It's basic stuff. So, a very easy red flag to notice. So pay attention to that. Kat, you were saying you're sending me some screenshots through text between you and Christine. You both got these numbers, even though we are in different time zones. Very cool. Make sure you look at it because they're both here in live stream. Very, very cool. I like that. All right, we're going to move on to the next section. Reminder, guys, if you have not, jump on today's Misguided Mentors YouTube channel. Would love to get your engagement on there, get you in the conversation. Let's see here. How to verify. That's the next phase here. My throat is so dry, guys. I've been talking all day. This is crazy. I've seen public speakers do so much public speaking that they throw their voice out. I feel like I'm doing that today. Tomorrow's going to be crazy. Thank God I don't have that many meetings. I won't be talking as much. Give my voice a rest. But, okay. How to verify. How to verify whether someone is a good mentor, a good coach, or a bad mentor or a bad coach. This was I think a question also by that young man. So I'm going to elaborate on this a little bit more. I already mentioned one of these. It's one of the easiest ways for me to encourage people to identify that. If they encourage you to think for yourself or not. All right. I've said that several times. I cannot stress that enough. I don't hear a lot of coaches out here encouraging others to just think for themselves. Even if they're selling something, it should be pitched in a way that's like, okay, yeah, I got this, whatever. Let's just say it's a coaching program. I got a coaching program, could help you, not sure. I'm going to leave that up to you to discern for yourself. I would never suggest that you need this from me. I would never suggest that you should do this. Do I think it'll help you? More than likely, yeah, after talking with you. And if that's what I really thought, I would say, yeah, more than likely, it's definitely going to help you and I can help you in these areas. But it's up to you to make that decision. And I want you to think for yourself when making that decision. That's how sales should be. You'll never hear people talking like that in sales much. It's crazy to me. Everybody's like scared to lose the sale. Everybody's scared they're so focused on money, that they never get You know how good that feels when and how good it feels for everybody when you treat them like that and you respond to them like that in sales and they do actually make the decision to move forward with you. No pressure. It was something they wanted. They felt good about it. That's a good feeling, and it makes your job way more pleasant. You can, and if you're truly passionate about helping people in that way, it makes it much more. I don't know. It makes it more enjoyable, and it makes it a great experience for the person who has chosen to make that decision to spend money with you and trust you. It's just an all-around good experience. Instead, it's pressure. And most times people that get pressured have a shitty experience. And the ones that don't have, I'll get to that later. Ones that have a shitty experience, they don't like talking about it too much. But I'll bring that up here in the last section. But yeah, Lorraine, you were asking, do I know what was going on for me in my life at the time to be taken by the whole GC affair? Was I searching for something at a law or at a low? I got you. Was I searching for something? Was I at a low? That's a very good question, and I'll tell you what was going on. So I was in my second year of my own construction business. It was during the pandemic. It was 2020. I was doing very good, and I actually someone referred the book to me. My nephew referred the 10X book to me, and I read it. And some of the things that he said, one of these times I'm going to actually break this book down. I'm scared to even fucking look in this thing. That's crazy, huh? I'm scared to even look into this thing because it brings back bad memories. That's crazy, man. Oh shit, that's traumatic just looking at the book. So, and I haven't opened that book since 2020. We're talking 5 years ago now. How crazy is that? And I even had, well, no, I take that back. I did read some quotes a few years back, but I never actually read the book since then. But I think what I'll do one of these times is break down some. I'm gonna skim through the book and highlight the deception in the book. Actually, that would be a really good. That would be a good breakdown and analysis of that, and a way to kind of show the red light, green light perspective of what's actually in the book and what it's intended to do. But anyways, to answer your question, Lorraine, I was doing really good. I was in my second year in business, and I started listening to Grant speak because I had the audiobook. I had the real book, but then I got the audiobook, started listening to it. And the things he was saying suggested to me things that were going on in my life that I didn't even know. Let me explain that. I would hear him say stuff like, you're not living your potential. You're operating at low levels. You're not where you are in your life because of this. Like, you know, when he was saying that, it was almost like I was asking myself that or coming to a realization to myself, like I'm not. It was almost like I was talking myself. He was talking me into that, into buying what he was selling through the book. And I was talking myself into believing it, I guess, because I thought he was successful. So I was like, you know, like when he would say like, oh, you're operating at low levels, I'd just be like thinking to myself in my head, I am? And I really wasn't. I was like, I mean, matter of fact, COVID was our best year, you know? And it's not a, you know, we sold like several $1 million worth of jobs, you know? So I was able to scale the company, and I was going to do it with or without Grant. As a matter of fact, my company did worse once I started applying his tactics, and especially sales tactics. The sales didn't feel good, just like I was describing a minute ago. I would pressure people into making decisions. These are big decisions too. Like this stuff we're selling was like full-on sunrooms and high-end outdoor living improvements that can range anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000. So to ask somebody to make decisions very quickly and drop 50K, it's kind of crazy to think that I was brainwashed to think that's how I should treat people. And anyways, Grant just got in my head. I really, COVID played a part of that. You know, COVID made the entire economy, especially business owners like myself, have uncertainty, have doubt, little bit of fear. We didn't know what was going on. My job involved me going into people's homes and pitching a product and a service, and I wasn't able to do that. So, and even through that, I decided to just keep running ads and keep doing good. And I did. I powered through it, and I did a great job, and I got through it. I'd be doing walkthrough videos on the job sites with my phone, and they still, I would get heat from the community, because they would tell me, oh, it's companies like you that are keeping the pandemic going. And so anyways, to answer your question, that's kind of a long way of answering it. I wasn't searching for something. It was the seeds that were planted in my head. And then all of a sudden I realized, maybe I'm not living my potential. I realized, oh, success, he's got this saying, success is your duty. And I was thinking, you're not being successful right now or something like that. And so I was just thinking like, wow, I'm really living really low. I'm operating at low levels. I'm really aiming low. I'm not taking 10x action. So it was just a brainwash that was going on. I wasn't really searching for anything. I was just so focused on growing the company. And then he got me to focus and search. He got in my head and did a good job at creating this searching aspect of it for me to search for the answers of what I needed next, I guess. Like, it's like, oh, okay, maybe you're helping me realize something that I wasn't even aware of. Okay, cool. Teach me. You're suggesting I should search for the answers and seek you for these success answers and advice. So it's quite remarkable thinking about that now, that he was able to turn my mentality into that searching vibe when I never was searching for anything at that time. Wasn't at a low. Maybe a little bit of a uncertainty. I wouldn't call it a low though. It was just a little bit of nervousness. Everybody was trapped in their houses and couldn't do any business. So that's how it happened though. Spirit. Oh, what's up, Kat? Oh yeah. You wanted me to share that now? Oh, I gotcha. I can't because my phone is actually being streamed live right now too. Otherwise, I'd totally do that. So I didn't know that's what you meant. Can't look at my phone, unfortunately. I'm using it for a recording as well on Instagram. So sorry about that. But anyways, so back to how to verify whether a good person is a good mentor or a bad mentor. And then, 100%, Lorraine, I have no shame in explaining that like that. It's actually important for me to own that and acknowledge that, because also when I explain this, I want people to understand that, like, I don't really absolve myself of all the accountability. Like, I made the choices. However, that doesn't mean just because I hold myself accountable or I made these choices that the other person didn't have a part to play. It doesn't mean that they actually didn't do what I think they were doing. Sure, I was accountable. I'm accountable for a lot of different things in that I gave him my money. But also, to be quite truthful and honest, I was just straight up brainwashed. So there's no shame in that for me. It doesn't mean I'm not accountable. A lot of people try to suggest that, oh, you can't take accountability and then act like someone else is accountable too. Sure you can. You can have the conversation about how both people contributed to it and both people have a level of accountability in the entire experience. 100%. So that's what's going on here. But yeah, it does demonstrate, you were saying, Lorraine, it demonstrates to others how this can happen when you're doing well and no one is immune. Yeah, absolutely. It's quite remarkable how, I was doing well and it kind of brought me down, terrible. Okay, so another way to verify is if they have they have a big claim and they don't deliver. So if they have a big claim and they don't deliver on the claim, that's a obvious way to verify. You know what I mean? Do not give them a second chance. Have them make it right. Because a lot of times, I would suggest start small. Let's see. Yeah, I wrote that down. So another way to verify is start small. Do not spend not even a couple $100s, certainly not 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 on something. When I first went to the very first 10x growth conference to Grants, I think I think I spent 5K. Maybe they were giving me a deal for like 3K on the ticket. So I spent either 5K or 3K to get in the room. And then when I got in the room, I got pitched a product, which is the 10X business coaching partnership for $25,000 on top of $1,000 annual fee. And I ended up spending that the very first interaction, very first time I got in proximity. But I think I actually bought the, God, did I buy? Yeah, I already had Cardone University before that. So I got convinced to buy that for $18,000 for a 3-year term when I didn't even need it. You know what I mean? Like it was 10 accounts. I only needed 1 account. They tried convincing me that I needed 10 to manifest the other 9. Stupid. Very stupid. Very, very, very deceptive and manipulative in a way to twist around the concept of manifestation and affirming things to their agenda. But yeah, start small. If they have a big claim for something very cheap, that could be a way to test the waters. If someone's saying, in this whatever, we're going to do a live webinar, and in this webinar, you're going to learn X, Y, Z. The webinar is going to be $20, or let's say the webinar is going to be $50. Write down what you expect to get out of that webinar. Make sure that you actually get some massive value out of it before you ever thinking about spending any more money. And don't even make the jump from 20 or 50 to 1,000 or 2,000. Like I think there's a huge gap there, and people jump way too quick. Your mind should be blown and overloaded with information and delivered with things that they promised they were going to deliver. So start small. If you're hesitant and you're trying to test the waters with the person, you maybe have some good feelings, but you're not quite sure. There's some weird energy there still. Whatever, it might be worth spending the 20 or the 50 or whatever just to find out, and then really kick back on that. Don't be making no decisions in that, in my opinion. I would never, I think a part of the problem is people move too fast. And, that's another way people get preyed on, because someone will spend $20 and then now they got you in the room. I'll never forget this. I spent... what was it? $97. So $97. Who is that guy? The guy that always wears that red suit. I can't stand that fucker. I cannot think of his name. He's like a British dude or a dude from London maybe. Oh man, that's going to bother me. He's got to get on my misguided mentor list though. But anyways, he had an ad running for like $97 that they're going to... For $97, they're going to run a Facebook ad for you. And I don't remember exactly. It's been too long now. It was a big claim. Huge, big claim. They're going to do this for only $97. So obviously I paid for it. The next thing you know, I jumped on a call because they needed to get some preliminary information from me to fulfill this $97 investment. And the next thing you know, I'm on a call with some snot-nosed kid in his 20s that ends up trying to sell me a $20,000 package. And I'm thinking to myself, how the fuck did I go from spending $97 to you pitching me $20,000 product, man? Like, it was insane. I couldn't believe it. Oh, I feel a sneeze coming on. Excuse me. So they try to get you in with a low ticket, and then try to get you with, try to gauge you and get you to spend big bucks. So I couldn't believe that. And then I never even got the $97 service. How wild is that? I spent the $97, jumped on a call with them. They tried to pitch me $20,000 program. I said, no thanks, I'm good. And then never heard from them again. Never got what they promised me for $97 at all. Never ran an ad for me. Never did this. Never did that. I just never heard from him ever again. I was like, that was a freaking scam. I need to talk about that actually. Rudy Moyer is his name. Look him up. He's this little dude who always wears red all the time. That's his brand. He just wears this red fur coat all the time. Very, very scammy. And that was a ripoff. Let's just put it that way. Anyways, okay, so start small. The other thing I was going to say was, so I already talked about more potential when they start talking about your potential. And the last thing I'm going to re-emphasize is what Kat brought up was reviews. The best way to find out if, and I'm not saying that, all reviews are legit, but you can generally take an average. All right. If someone's got, I have about 92 reviews on my construction business page. One of those reviews is bad, and the bad review is like one sentence. And if anybody's ever asked me about that one bad review, I'm very forthcoming about talking about it and explaining why that person gave me a bad review. And that's how I handle that. The rest of the reviews are fantastic. I got like 3-page paragraph reviews that some people have left me. I think I've even shared my reviews on one of these streams before. That's an easy way. All right. That's a ratio. When I have 1 out of 92 that are really good, I think it's safe to assume that that's a really good company to work for. And the people that have bought their services have had a good experience. I think it's a no-brainer. All right. If someone had the same 92 reviews and 20 of them, let's say, were not good and lengthy, like Kat was saying, some of them are really elaborate, I think that should raise an eyebrow. I think that should cause some concern, and you should tread lightly. And to be honest, you should look for a different company that has a better ratio of good reviews. You know what I mean? So, one easy way to find out if a person is, an ethical mentor or a coach is by looking at the reviews. So, good call on that, and it's a very easy way to do that too. Kat, you were saying when you were at a low and talking with the RPM lawyer, you were contacted by someone pretending to be Grant and said he wanted to give you money. Of course, he wanted your bank account password. What a scam. So he could do the transfer to the bank. Yeah, that was a straight up scam is what that was. Subject live. You were saying this really isn't time for it. It'd be best during a spiritual subject live conversation. Yeah. No sweat. All right, let me get down to this last topic here, and then I can wrap it up. My throat's about to give out on me. Let's see if I can make it. All right. What to do if you have been scammed. So this is a great question. I don't think this question gets asked enough, to be honest. What do you do if you have been scammed, or if you feel like you've been manipulated and didn't get what you were promised and any of those things? Well, one thing you could do is talk about it. All right. I know it's not the easiest thing for people to do, but you can expose it. Share your experience. And if you don't like talking about, like if you're hesitant to get sued, a lot of people don't talk about it for this reason. People are scared of getting sued, scared of someone making fun of them, scared of being embarrassed, scared of being vulnerable, scared of putting themselves out there as being the scammy, the person that got scammed. I understand that can be tough for people, especially if you're just not really comfortable with yourself. But somebody's going to benefit from you sharing your experience. All right. And so if you're not going to talk about, or if you are scared, you can talk about something and not bring up someone's name. You can talk about the scam and not actually directly call a person out. There are ways to talk about your bad experience. There are ways to talk about scammers and your personal interaction with someone who promised you something and really just ripped you off. All right. And I think it's important to encourage people to talk about that. Matter of fact, if you would like to talk about that, I am racking up a growing list for people who are going to have conversations with me when I convert this page into a basically a interactive podcast where I'm gonna have conversations with people. And I'd love to hear your story. And again, if you're a person that doesn't want to necessarily talk about a specific person, that's fine. We'll figure out a way for you to not have to do that. But it's important for you to try to bring yourself to be able to talk about it and get to a place, get a comfortable place within yourself to be able to share that, because you could actually help somebody just by sharing that. The more people don't share, the longer this goes on, the less awareness it's being brought up. All right. So people need to get beyond their embarrassment. They need to get beyond, some people just don't want to talk about it because it just brings up bad memories. They just want to forget it and move on and brush it under the rug. I don't suggest that either. I understand for some people it could be traumatic. It could be an experience you don't want to relive in your head. But gosh, try to think about that. And if you like helping people, understand that just talking about it could help somebody. Just talking about it. So that's super easy. And if you like helping people, then I would encourage you to talk about it. So yeah, what to do if you've been scammed? Expose it. Talk about it. All right. Try not to be embarrassed about it. There's people that this has happened to. It's happened to really good people. It's happened to smart people. You have nothing to be embarrassed about. You have nothing to be ashamed of. And quite frankly, you have nothing to be scared of. These people ain't going to sue you, in my opinion. But if you're scared of being sued and you don't want to do it for that reason, then don't talk about them personally by name. You could still talk about your experience. All right. So I'm just trying to encourage people, like, really push yourself to open up about it. And you might actually find yourself, especially if you're struggling with it, you're like, that really just was a terrible experience. That actually is gonna, it's messing with me, jack me up mentally. Talking about it and being able to actually share your story and being able to help somebody with your story might actually help you through your process. I don't know. But that could be something to consider as well. The other thing is, that's actually it. That was the last thing I just realized. So yeah, the last note I had was to be vulnerable, but I've been talking about that several times already. So being vulnerable is that's like the hack, the secret, the way to the space to get in, because not vulnerable, excuse me, being what's the word I'm looking for? I guess confident, just not caring what people think about you and more focused about helping people. If you can combine those two, what did I say the other day? I said, I don't care what people think about me, but I care about people. And I feel like that's such a healthy combination. If you can bring yourself to that point, you'll be able to talk about, and you've been scammed, you'll be able to talk about that experience a lot easier, because you realize, like, oh, wow, I have nothing to be ashamed of. I have nothing to be embarrassed about. And on top of that, if you like helping people, you'd be like, yeah, I'm just going to share it because I could actually help somebody. And so I think in doing that, you're going to find out that it's the right thing to do, more specifically. You know what I mean? But again, I'm also not shaming people that don't want to talk about their scam experience. You know what I mean? I understand that's a tough thing for some people. So if that's just not the path you want to take, then and you've thought about it at least, and you're like, I just can't bring myself to do that, I just really want to let it go, then that's your thing, and I know it's not for everybody. So I'm going to jump off here. Kat, you were saying Grant sent an email for live training. You decided to join, see if you could make an impact in the comments, and you got an email saying you got a free general admission ticket to GrowthCon. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Is it let me know give me the details on that actually, and let me know if it's a virtual ticket or a live ticket. But anyways, guys, my throat is killing me. I can't even talk anymore. My throat is so scratchy. I feel like I got to sneeze every second. So I'm going to jump off here. I really hope this live helped somebody, especially because this was for this was meant for young entrepreneurs and young people in the space, people that want to, figure out ways to navigate the self-development space to the best of their ability and not get scammed. All right. So I hope someone could take a peek at this live and get some value out of that before they go into something, or if they're looking into something, they're looking into a program. I hope this helps someone in that aspect as well. So anyways, hopefully you guys, okay, you needed to pay $100. All right, I see. So it wasn't free. Anyways, good seeing you guys on here. I'm going to hop off, and you guys have a good rest of your evening, and I will catch you guys next time on today's Misguided Mentors, all right? Take care.